that this is basically Gossip Girl by way of My Immortal. And I'm, interestingly enough, for this update, kind of vibing with it.
It's not like all of this can be worked out in 100 pages. It's very easy to read, don't get me wrong, and it doesn't really feel like a guilty pleasure because it's not all that pleasurable.
It's time. If you're newer to my channel, you may not know that I used to do a bunch of 24-hour read with me's. I read like the entirety of the Twilight series in one day. That's not what we're going to do, but we are going to fucking finish Enigma because I've been sitting on this book for 4 months out from the library and it's just been staring at me. And I know that I want to read it because I do like trash. I do have this thing where I like reading trashy books. And this is one of those ones that I'm like, this is going to suck so bad. But no one's been talking about it. And I think that that's the funny thing about this particular like book that came out where like gothikana was huge. If you're a fan of my channel, I can only assume you've seen my video on it. But this one, it came out. I saw it in a bookstore and was like, no one told me this was out. I'm not going to say what it's about here. I will let editing Maddie splice that all together for you. But I want to read this today. Don't know how logical that is. It is already noon, one-ish. I need to eat some food here soon. But I think that I just want to sit down and just binge this shit and tell you guys all about it. And hopefully that'll be a fun time for you. I don't know. I really don't even know what you guys want anymore. If this is the video that you do enjoy, please let me know. I love doing this type of shit. Because the other thing about rant reviews is that I feel like I get in my head about them. And I know this will be a rant review book, but I don't want to spend that much time on it. I just want to binge read it and have a fun hee hee ha ha with you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's what we're going to do. It's truly atrocious, but I'm going to go ahead and have some foods and then we'll reconvene. How about that? Sound good? Okay. What a great intro.
This is lunch. Look at my shitty iPhone quality in my tiny little fucking kitchen. Delicious.
Ow. Sports mode. I'm procrastinating so bad. I do feel like I'm gonna need tabs. This is not an attractive shot, is it? I didn't realize I was wearing my Venom shirt. I don't know why. I don't know if that's on brand. I don't know if it fits. But I'm not trying to fit in anymore. I'm just doing my shit. I don't think you heard any of that. Found a bookmark. I'm gonna just try and get like a few chapters in and just make some headway. How about that? Let's do that. I'm going to shut the fuck up. I'm on chapter 2. Okay, so for the initial breakdown, our main character's name is Salem. Salazar, because of course it is. She, in the prologue, basically, she makes an account getting into Mortimer. I have to keep checking because I'd already read the prologue and parts of the first chapter, so I just wanted to refresh my memory. She got into the school that her sister went to and also the rest of her family, but it's super prestigious. And then she made an account to get in and she made her name Golden Girl 01, which I don't know about you guys, but in most higher academic circles, you don't get to pick your username, and it definitely shouldn't be something that's as inappropriate for an academic setting as Golden Girl 01. Not saying that it's like terrible, but it's not great. The next scene is her, I guess, having already been attending the school where she finds a dead body on the beach by the school, and a guy surprises her and they have this interaction next to this dead body where neither one of them is having the correct response that you're supposed to have when finding a dead body, as in going and getting the cops. neither one of them seems to have any interest in doing that. The guy's demeanor with her is gross. She tells him to go fuck himself, and he says, "I will later." As if any adult people who see a dead body would say that to each other. And then he's drawing the body, I guess. Like he's like creating an art project out of the blue. Couldn't explain why she did what she did next. It could have been the heavy silence unnerving her, a rare occurrence in her lifetime, or it could have been some deep-rooted instinct to preserve evidence, or her own curiosity he had captured in the encounter. Whatever it was, it made her open the camera on her phone and press the button. To which he responds going, "Tisk, tisk, tisk. You shouldn't have done that. You just put yourself smack in the middle of a game you know nothing about." He also called her Little Asp, as in like a little pet name already. And I don't know why, but I'm kind of getting like, for some reason, my impression of this person already is the gunslinger from fucking Dead by Daylight. If anybody's played that game, I haven't played it in a long time, but if anybody wants to play, let me know. I want to see if my game still works, because for a while there I was getting kicked out. That's a tangent, but that's like the dynamic I've got with this guy right now. I just feel like he's wearing a big duster and like a big hat and is like, "I'm gonna draw dead bodies," like a really weird Logan Paul. But we gotta keep moving because it is already almost 2:00, and I would like to get this done prior to when my partner gets here after work, which is probably gonna be at least 6 or 7. And this is like a 500-page book. I have a feeling I'm gonna be going into the evening and being annoying with that, but like, here's the thing. I just want to get this done. I want to make this video for you guys. I'll probably be like putting the clips into the computer as I go, but I am stalling now. I am majorly stalling. I'm going to go ahead and get into this. I do have the audiobook, I'm pretty sure. So that should alleviate some of the slog that I will be going through to get through this book for you guys. But also, hey, here's the new page for chapter 2. So hopefully you guys enjoy my suffering. So we got some mood lighting in the background. Do we like that? Okay, so I am now 105 pages into Enigma. I kind of want to give you a little bit of a general update of my thoughts. First of all, I feel like Runix doesn't realize that people have gone to school before, because she's over-explaining random things about school, like you can pick your classes, and college kids like to drink, and cliques form. People have friends, but it's all kind of stemming from the fact that Salem is written in a way that really reads as neurodivergent, in a way to like make her seem kind of impersonal, but it's just coming off as this girl's kind of rude and mean and disinterested in anyone but herself. And when I say that, I'm meaning that the core purpose of the main character for this book is, according to what it's supposed to be, is finding out what happened to her sister. Her sister supposedly committed, and then Salem decided to go to the same school to find out what happened. But when she talks about her sister, she refers to her as loved by all, pain in the ass. And she doesn't seem to have any good memories of her sister. Like, there doesn't seem to have been a bond between them. It doesn't make any sense why she seems to give a shit about what happened to her sister, because she doesn't seem to actually care that her sister is dead. So that's interesting. And now that we've met the boy, I'm becoming more and more convinced that this is basically a Draco Hermione fanfiction. I think it's blurbed to be like a Persephone Hades retelling, but it's not, from what I can tell. The main guy is a painter, and there seems to be some kind of culture or society where people are like guaranteed to be treated certain ways in the legacies of Mortimer the University, despite the fact that universities are very simplistic processes. Like, they're all pretty straightforward. I don't feel like Runix actually went to college. Like, that's the thing. Like, none of her books have made me convinced that she knows how higher academics work. And that's not necessarily a dig. It's just strange the way that she writes schools and how the perception of school is supposed to be so prestigious, but none of the characters actually seem to be studying anything. Going back to Salem, she has a murder wall in her dorm or her room or wherever the fuck she has her stuff at. And she doesn't seem passionate enough. She's supposedly going to school for criminology, and she just doesn't seem all that invested in anything going on. To be very clear, her only interest so far in the book has been jumping Kaz's bones. Oh yeah, did I mention? The main guy's name is Kaz. Not like Kaz Brecker, more like Casimir Vanderwall. I made a note in my app, my notes app, that this is basically Gossip Girl by way of My Immortal. And I'm, interestingly enough, for this update, kind of vibing with it. Not in the sense that I'm enjoying the book itself, but like, this has got so much rife material through it. I'm actually genuinely surprised more people haven't picked it up yet. So I hope that you guys are enjoying my updates. I genuinely don't think I'm going to be shocked by anything in this book, because so far the only interest the main character has had is about the boy. That's literally about the only thing she's had any spark of interest in. And we've already been told by the FMC that she likes the idea of having non-consensual sex, or consensual non-consensual sex, or at least a passionate kiss that she isn't expecting from someone she doesn't know, things like that. And then she also just kind of goes up and kisses him first without having the go-ahead to do so. So basically, I think the author thinks that if she kisses him first without asking him if it was okay, we're going to be okay with whatever the fuck he does to her later, even though he's already implied that he doesn't like hearing no. And I also want to point out, this picture of him is a lot older than I would assume he is, unless this isn't him, which they've talked about a Dr. Merlin and the fact that her name is Salem Salazar. I'm just waiting for Dumbledore coming around the corner any second now. But I just feel like this guy looks older than what I would assume that this kid is supposed to look like. Maybe it's just because I've been out of college for a while, or college age range, that is. And so all college kids look like children to me. So I don't really understand why that guy looks like a full-grown adult compared to what he's supposed to, I'm assuming, look like as a 19, 20-year-old. That being said, that's the current update. I need to clean my room real bad. I don't really want to show you guys that, but I will try and get you some B-roll of something so this video isn't just me going, wow, this book is bad.
Okay, so I am now 132 pages in. We are at end of part 1, which, weirdly enough, is where the start of part 2 happens. I don't know why we need both of those sections, but we do. Yes, Jackson, that's attractive. But so here's the thing. The storyline has developed only in the sense that two things has happened, because I've already only read 30 pages since we chatted. So Salem went to talk to Dr. Merlin, which is the only faculty member we know of at this point in the book, who apparently may or may not have had some kind of relationship with her sister. Their interaction is weird and strange because Salem did everything she needed to do to get his attention by specifically flirting with him in class, which feels not necessary at all for this storyline. It almost feels like Runix doesn't know how to have any kind of normal interactions with humans, so there's just these interactions that are overtly sexual for no reason, when she could have just literally had a conversation with this teacher. We didn't have to make it sexual. Just saying. But the interaction between her and the professor doesn't make a lot of sense. And then she sees her sister's ruby necklace sitting on his, mantle or whatever. And he goes, oh yeah, that's my wife's. To which she knows is not true. He knows is not true. But apparently we're not going to do anything about that. Very strange. She leaves the office, has a panic attack, comes out of her panic attack with Kaz standing right behind her, pushing her up against the wood of a door. Yeah. They have a tete-a-tete. I'm sure I'll go over that in more detail later. And then his phone starts buzzing. He answers it like a drug dealer, like, I told you never to contact me like this. There's just weird shit going on with him all the time. The verbiage and the word usage, hi, do not make sense. Do not make sense. Yeah, so part two, that's great. We're not, it's not hard to read. It's mostly just confusing, like what the actual intention is behind any of the characters or choices that are happening in the book. Mostly because this writing isn't written for people who want anything complex. They don't want to actually have to think about what's going on in these stories. They just want sexy man, prestigious school environment, and they don't seem to care about needing actual plot. Though what I will say, the thing is like the environment and the plot lines are there. Like this could have been better, but it just seems like no one gives a shit anymore about making books good. And it's not necessarily even on the copy like editing, like not even on line edits. It's on like actual foundational edits of the book. This could have been good if they gave a shit, but they don't. So, yeah, buddy. You're very cute. I forgot to mention the coffee shop that the students go to. I can't remember what it stands for, but they refer to it as BBC. Now, here's the thing. I don't think that that was supposed to be like the British Broadcasting Channel or whatever the other term that that acronym usually refers to, but I'm not thinking of that one. Nor do I remember what the it was like big beautiful coffee or something like that, cafe or whatever. Uh, that's not what comes to my mind. I don't know if what I'm thinking comes to your mind or not, but that's probably, if you're a degenerate like me, something else came to mind. I don't know if that was intentional on Renix's part. I have a feeling it's not. But it was a choice. It really was a choice. And someone in the editing process could have gone, let's name this something different.
You are the bane of my existence.
Okay, so I'm 250 pages in. I don't want to get too far without giving you guys an update. So far, we have introduced another dude she must have talked to in the chat room that she created, the Golden Girl username. His name is Baron. I'm guessing he's the potential second love interest if this gets a sequel, because apparently Gothikana wasn't going to get a sequel, but we're just going to rewrite it, I guess. This feels like rewritten Gothikana with less of the problematic elements, like a student and a teacher doing shit together. Whereas the teacher in this book, very strange that the plot line of the book is so heavily not the actual plot. Like the plot of the book is very much like, we're focused on the romance, obviously, which isn't a romance. Like the synopsis says it's supposed to be like the rivals will become lovers, but there's no rivalry. They're not competing for anything against each other. There is these excellency awards that supposedly have something to do with the deaths that happen at this college, but we know nothing about them, and I don't really care. So we met the other potential love interest that she has some kind of history with. I don't care. And then after that, she teams up with her ethnically ambiguous friend whose only purpose is to call the main guy a honky chunk of a man twice, in different scenes, because we're repetitive about our writing style, because otherwise the audience won't get it. And then break into the office of the professor because his door code apparently is her sister's birthday. Find a bunch of like proof that this guy is clearly not a good person, like souvenirs potentially, and then end up locked in the assembly room with Kaz Vandermeer, Vanderwall, Vander Butts, where they end up just going to town on each other. Town, me when you, when I, when you, yeah. So that's where we're at so far. He took her back to her room, and she was so knocked out that they slept together without her knowing it. Not like fucked, but like slept. And then he got up, and she was like, "What are you still doing here?" And he's like, "Well, I want to have sex with you, obviously." And there's this scene where they do the nasty, and it's just really boring the way these are written. I also find it interesting that despite the fact that we are describing cunnilingus in very, very graphic detail, we can't say the word fuck. What? Why? What? What is it about these very puritanical, like, heavy on the gender roles specific, like specifically referring to her as girl and him as man, despite them supposedly being within the same age range? Like, why is it that there has to be clean language when you're describing sexual imagery? That doesn't make sense to me. I'm going to power through because it moves pretty quickly. That's the only other thing. I also find it very interesting that she referred to her sister's suicide as illogical. There just genuinely doesn't seem to be any passion for her finding out who killed her sister. It's just kind of bothersome. I don't know. It's not the way that I would describe anyone trying to find out what happened to their like family members' demise, And then I totally forgot. There was this part in the beginning where apparently her father has also died because he killed a man and then killed himself. Like, it was just boom, boom. Like, that was wow. Like, there's no feeling behind it. She has no attachment to these people. Her memories are very limited, and apparently the reason that she was rich was because her father was a real estate mogul. I'm currently trying to write about rich people, and it's difficult, but like at least I'm doing some research into it. Fuck me, goddamn. The barest amount of effort would help these books, but that's not what we're doing here. What the fuck does that mean? Okay, I don't know where we left off in the last update, but pretty much nothing is happening in this book. I'm 376 pages in, and we haven't had anything to do with the awards. No explanation on that. Apparently the chat group she was in was like for younger kids, and something occurred when she was chatting with someone in that group who apparently wasn't a kid, and she may have sent explicit photos of herself to that person, and then they may have been blackmailing her with them. Kind of unclear on what exactly the fuck is going on with that or who that person was. But we do know that Casimir Vanderwall is not actually a Vanderwall. Who knows who the Vanderwalls are? He's a Vanguard, which just sounds like the financial company to me. But like, apparently, not only is he a Vanguard, his entire family was apparently murdered by her father? Yeah, so that part has happened. There was also a section where some more shit came out about the professor, or stuff was happening with the professor. I think she had another panic attack. He was holding her, calming her down, and then she woke up butt ass naked on an altar in the middle of the woods. He was also there drawing her, also butt ass naked, and then they fucked on the altar. But bear in mind, no swear words in this book. Just incredible descriptions of sexual acts, but don't you dare say the F word, or else you'll go straight to hell. It's mind-numbing how bad this is. And I was actually thinking about how the way that this is written kind of explains how Gen Z does not have sex, because you can't be intimate with someone without being able to, like, swear in front of them, express your vulnerabilities. And there is no vulnerabilities being expressed. We have rigid gender roles in these characters, and there is no, like, vulnerability between them. There's no sharing of common interests. They're not even rivals. There is no competition between them. They've just decided to be together. There's a whole backstory that's kind of coming out about her sister and his brother having had a relationship of some kind that was orchestrated by her father, which is just doesn't make any fucking sense. And bear in mind, I only have like this much left of the book, so it's not like all of this can be worked out in 100 pages. It's very easy to read, don't get me wrong, and it doesn't really feel like a guilty pleasure because it's not all that pleasurable.
Bro, actually, what? Huh?
Many hours later.
Hi there. It's been a minute since all of the stuff that you just watched. I did finish this book in 24 hours, though. Cumulatively, obviously. I did just stop and then picked it up a day later, and was planning on doing this like little section to wrap up what happened in the book far sooner, but then I kind of just lost interest, which happens a lot nowadays. But there was no resolution to this book that made any fucking sense, nor did it have anything that was like surprising to me. I think there was one point where like an herb is used very similarly to how it's used in gothikana. Don't remember exactly what that was supposed to be in like relation to, but the plotline of Enigma is very much just there's a bunch of people dying. No one seems at all concerned about it, over the fact that like Salem and her boo thing, whose name I don't even know if I told you. Oh yeah, I did. His name is Vander something, Casimir Vanderwall or Vanguard or whatever. Their romance takes the center stage from the get-go, and then nothing else is ever as important, even though there are things that seem like they should be more important. Is very odd, and the things that are important seem to take a backstage to even them going to school. Like Salem is like, I'm into true crime. And she's very clearly that type of person that's into true crime who's insufferable. So yeah, it's a book that I genuinely believe didn't need to exist, but because publishers don't want to put any effort into marketing their book, they just gave Runix a sequel / retcon for Gothikana. And from what I can tell, not a single person read this shit because it's boring as hell. Honestly, I feel like I need to look up some reviews for it because it's been a minute since I read it at this point, and it was so boring that I genuinely could not tell you what my review was for it. And I need to know what other people experienced of this book. It has a 3.75. I think I gave it a 1 star, to be honest. Good spice, little plot, someone says. Ladybug 12793 says 2.2 stars. 3.5 stars. Someone gave it a 5 star. Yes to this book. The plot, chef's kiss. What plot? I genuinely have to know what plot. Because we basically have this idea that we are following this main character as she gets into a school where she knows there are hinky things happening. And then she ends up at the school for several years, from what I can tell, trying to figure out what happened to her sister. Not quite sure exactly what this school is supposed to be. Is the dynamics between everyone are very high school, but it's supposedly college. And then there's this weirdness with the teacher and her sister, but then there's weirdness with her sister and the guy's older brother who's dead because of her dad. None of it makes sense. And then there was a weird situation between Kaz and her mom. Like, her dynamic with her mom was weird, which is always, I feel like, an interesting component to these books, where I feel like there is parenthood concepts. And I think this was trying to be like, oh yeah, her mom is trying to be supportive of her, but she just doesn't get her. But then her mom is like, oh yeah, I can tell that he loves you. And like, my guy, she's like 20 years old. Who gives a fuck about her current boyfriend? Like, why are we making plans on marrying people when we're 20 years old? We don't have to do that anymore. We can open bank accounts. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense at all. Yeah, I could not tell you a singular other thing that happened. I felt like the book had so many things that just didn't need to be here, like these stupid pages. 5 years later, Kaz. I don't remember what the fuck was in this. Yeah, it's like a long drawn out bullshit of like, oh, I married him. Okay, cool. You didn't resolve anything to my knowledge. Nothing was actually concretely proven or denied or done. The one thing I can say about Gothikana was that it at least did things. Like, it wasn't necessarily good, don't get me wrong, in any span of the imagination. This at least read like it had some line editing done, but we didn't even try to establish any kind of like edits that could have made the story better or actually clarified who the secret societies were or who was blackmailing her or if she actually gave a shit about her sister in the first place, because it didn't really seem like she did. I don't know. It was just not great. I'm glad I binged it though. I will say that this was not my least favorite book of the month. That was Pumpkin Spice Cafe. This shit fucking sucked in a way that genuinely made me angry that anyone could have watched Gilmore Girls and compared it to this, mostly because it felt like whoever wrote this watched the pilot episode of Gilmore Girls, heard there were 7 seasons, and decided to just write what they thought happened in the show. And it was bad. It was atrocious. It was really, 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 really bad. But Enigma was really just fucking boring. Like, honest to God. I do want to make more interesting content for you guys, but this one was just kind of a slog. And I definitely feel like when I do rate reviews and things like that, I want to have at least a little bit of fun with this. And honestly, this one was just, it felt honestly like somebody mad words the ideas of a dark academia romance and decided to vaguely call it Hades and Persephone, even though that makes no fucking sense. He wasn't a ruler or a leader of anything in the school, so he couldn't be considered Hades. And they just were in love, which is really just lust. But you couldn't say the word fuck. Don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. But I did finally put on some makeup to end the video because fuck it, why not? Couldn't do my hair. Couldn't bother to do that. That would have been effort. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I think I'll try and just start doing really quick, random little updates for you. I can't even really give you much of a synopsis here. I thought I could give you like another 30 minutes of me just rambling about the book, but I have nothing to say, and it clearly lost my interest so fast that I could not get around to doing this. But I've also had a bunch of migraines this month. That hasn't been great. If you want more updates about what's going on with me, more routinely, you can definitely follow my Patreon. I've been trying to just put out free little life updates here and there. And I do think I will be telling you guys something relatively big in the next video about what's been going on in my life. But until then, I'm going to go like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Bye!